Welcome to the celebration of Yog Shaktis. The Indian Yoga Association, IYA, represents a historic effort to bring together all yoga traditions in pursuit of the common goal of spreading the message of yoga. The theme of this year's International Day of Yoga is Women Empowerment. IYA, through their IDY series, is celebrating the contribution of women yogacharinis by highlighting their critical role and yoga's transformative power in fostering women's empowerment and well-being. Hi, I'm Sujata, your host. Today we will be having a conversation with Garima ji, the founder of the Swasth Institute. The Swasth Institute enables people to step into full potential with a healthy body, mental clarity and emotional stability, purpose and inner joy. I started my holistic well-being journey when I got introduced to the Swasth Institute and Garima about 4.5 years back. I have known her in different capacities and roles, as a coach, as my teacher or guru, through various workshops and trainings I underwent with Swasth, as my colleague when I heard my inner calling and started working at Swasth 2 years back, and above all, as a friend and a guide who has and continues to play a key role in my well-being journey. So let's get to know Garima a little better. Garima is committed to helping others be their full authentic self and live their full potential by unleashing the power of yoga, psychology, nutrition, and nature connection. She integrates ancient wisdom and modern sciences to cultivate harmony in body, mind, and spirit. Her own journey began about 15 years ago when, after being at prestigious institutions such as IIT, McKinsey, and Teach for India, Garima experienced how outer success without inner fulfillment can lead to feeling lost, ill health, depletion, overwhelm, and relationship conflicts. Her quest for inner joy led her to study, contemplation, training, and practice of multiple disciplines, which cumulatively transformed her inner and outer life. Garima founded the Swasth Institute to enable health and joy for the world at large. She is a professional coach, a somatic psychology practitioner, MSc in yoga, and a Lowndes Scholar at the Harvard School of Public Health. The Swasth Institute has delivered 75,000 person-hours of sustained well-being services, consistently delivering impact over 7 years. So I'm happy to welcome Garima here.
So thank you so much, IYA, for this opportunity. And I'm so glad to be doing this with you, Sujata, my dear friend, my colleague, and such an important part of my life and Swasth's life.
Thank you, Garima, and welcome once again. So as we start, let me start by asking you, what does yoga signify to you personally?
Well, initially, my understanding of yoga was how most people currently also understand it, that it's a set of asanas, positions, postures that one does for fitness, and had experienced that as a child as well. But today, my understanding of it goes to the philosophy that not yoga, I would say yog is really about. Yog means to be in harmony, in connection with, and I believe it is about being in yog with myself, which means living a life aligned to who I really am. And this is where it gets interesting, that discovering who we are is a continuous process because there's so many layers of conditioning, beliefs, and some patterns that we say, this is my personality, this is who I am, but that is not really us. So that discovery of that true me is to me what yoga is about, or yog is about. And I had a very lived experience of this philosophy, this theory, when I was working at McKinsey as a management consultant. It was the most prestigious job I could have asked for straight out of college. And everything was going great. But I ended up with a back pain issue. And I had back pain that would start, from the upper back and go right down, radiating to my arms, my legs. I could not sit, move, do anything. And it really came in the way of my work. And I tried every pathy under the sun, right? I tried allopathy, homeopathy, yoga also I tried, Ayurvedic massages, hypnotherapy, lots of things. but nothing was giving me the relief that I needed. And there was no structural issue. I was just 23 years old at that point of time. So that's when I actually was directed, someone referred me to Vyasa University, which is where I finally also have done a lot of my yoga education from. And there I understood that there is the true science of yoga is about self connection. It is about khud se jurna. And when I connected to myself in the time that I spent there, I realized that what was manifesting in my body was actually a misalignment between the life that I was living and the values that I had. I was making rich companies richer. And while it seemed to be the best job on paper, it's not who I was as a person. And that dissatisfaction I had not allowed myself to experience because it felt like this is the place for me to be. So over there, I decided that I'm going to transition to the social sector because whenever I had worked in the development sector, I'd been the happiest. Uh, and when I made that decision, it's interesting that my back pain just disappeared. Like I made a call from there and I said, I'm going to leave and I'm going to transition to the sector, social sector, and my back pain never came back. And it we talk of psychosomatic health issues, we talk of adhija vyadi in yoga, but for me, this was a very lived experience that my back was reflecting the misalignment between who I was and the life that I was living. And as soon as I restored the alignment, my health was back. So that was my lived experience of yoga.
Thank you for sharing your lived experience. I can truly see how this was a discovery of self for you as you went through this experience. So I'm sure we would all like to know what inspired you to transition from a career in technology and management consulting to yoga, holistic well-being, and education.
So, unknown to me, most of my life had been a quest to find myself. Just initially, this energy was directed outwards. So, whether it was, starting with engineering, then transitioning to management consulting, and then the social sector, I was trying to find myself by saying, what do I like to do? When I realized that engineering is not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I said I need exposure. And so consulting would give me that exposure. When I realized that management consulting is not what was bringing me joy and I wanted to live a life aligned by my values, that's when I transitioned to the social sector. Now, I had thought that now I'm in the social sector. This is the field of seva, karam yoga, and everything would be fine. And it was for 3.5 years. I had a wonderful time. But very soon that same emptiness came back to me and I ended up feeling very, very overwhelmed, depleted, and I just could not understand why. I needed to step out of it again and say, what is happening? Because I thought I'd fixed everything outside, but it was still not fixed. And that's when I realized that while I had changed the outside, I had not really changed my inside. My same patterns that were there earlier were continuing of not feeling that I'm good enough and therefore not whole and complete. So that I would give myself to work, and people saw that I was very passionate. But that passion was coming from a place of emptiness. There was a pattern of workaholism, of being perfectionist. And that and many other things led to me feeling empty. So I realized after I took that time off, I stepped out. I took a sabbatical and went on an inner journey. That's when I slowly actually started doing this inner work, whether it was getting trained in nutrition, yoga, coaching, meditation. I did all of these to understand myself. I had no idea that I'm going to do this work for others because I needed to sort myself out. But after a couple of years of doing that and living a life of more inner peace, contentment, when my cup was full, I realized now I want to share this gift. And I felt like this is something that should have been in our fundamental life education. Like we learned how to deal with all of these different, subjects, math, science, everything. But we never learned how to deal with our own emotions, our own body, energy, mind, our intuition, our spirit. So that's what led to the birth of the Swasth Institute, for it to become like a life education, inner education program, where it's an inside out approach where we're tapping into ourselves and expressing ourselves outside rather than trying to find things and joy and satisfaction outside.
So we can understand the inside-out approach that you used, Garima, for your quest to find yourself and bring your outer and inner world in alignment. So how did your experiences at Teach for India and McKinsey and Company shape your journey towards founding the Swasth Institute?
So for the longest time, I used to introduce myself as an engineer turned consultant turned social sector practitioner turned well-being coach. And it was only later that in the spirit of yoga, which is alignment and harmony, I realized that it's not a changing of identities. It was rather like a gathering of the pieces of a puzzle. All of these are me, and I was just getting to know all of these skills that I needed later on to actually be doing work at the institute. So if I go back to my engineering days, for example, that really taught me how to be very, very rational, systematic, and have an evidence-based approach towards things, which is also what we're trying to bring into yoga, which is such an ancient science. We're trying to bring a rational approach, which already exists, but use that for people to understand things. My consulting days actually taught me how to create a very well-oiled system, which is strong on processes, strong on culture. The difference being that we're now not trying to maximize profit, but our goal is to maximize social impact. So the goal can be different, but the processes have really, really helped. From Teach for India, I learned a lot about learning. We often think it's about teaching, which is a very teacher centric approach, but actually, this is about someone learning, a participant learning, a student learning. And Teach for India really taught me how to put the person whom we're trying to work with at the center of the process, how to make learning engaging for them, how to make it very application based so that it's not a concept, but something that one can live with, really live out in their life. And that again is what the yogic process says. It talks of true learning being a three-step series of 3 steps of Shravan, which is listening, reading, Manan, which is contemplation, and Nididhyasana, which is practice, application. So Teach for India really gave me the very practical tools to be able to do this. And finally, both these organizations are very, very values based. They have their own set of values and have a very strong culture aligned to it, which also told me that whatever we do at Swasth, we want to be clear on our values and really live them not just as words that one states, but at the center of everything that we do. So yeah, I feel like each of these pieces has had a place in my journey and in Swasth's journey.
Truly, I can see like all of them fitting together in a puzzle. I understand you spoke about the values of these organizations. So could you share some key principles or values that guide your approach at the Swasth Institute?
So first, I want to start with even the meaning of Swasth, because like yoga is misunderstood, Swasth is also misunderstood. Firstly, the very basic thing is that Swasth is not about not having disease. Nirogi hona, Swasth hona nahi hai. It goes beyond that. It is the presence of holistic well-being, physical, mental, social, spiritual, all of those dimensions. But there's an even broader meaning beyond this, which was very eye-opening for me to discover that Swasth, if you actually look at it, just break up the Sanskrit word into 2 parts. Sanskrit is a beautiful language that way. Every word has a meaning. It means swa and stha. Swa is myself, and stha is the same root as in sthan, sthir in Hindi, or as in stable in English. So swasth really means to be sthit in swa, to be established in ourselves, which is also what the meaning of yoga is. So actually, they're two very, very similar in that sense that it is about self-connection, being and aligned to ourselves. And health and well-being is literally an outcome that one doesn't need to work for. It's like a side effect that comes with a medicine. So we are going to be healthy if we are swamisthit. So with this goal of people being sthit in their swa, their true self, all the programs that we do, and we've created a whole bunch of around 20 or different services. The common theme underlying all of these is 3 principles, the 3 S's, which is Sampurna, Swaraj, and Sahaparivar. So Sampurna means all inclusive. And what are we including? We are including all the dimensions of health, because if we want holistic health, we also need to work on all dimensions of ourselves. So yogic wisdom talked of the Panchakosh, five sheets, five dimensions of existence. Very simply put in today's language, how we call these dimensions is our body, our energy, our mind and emotions, our intuition, and our spirit. So all of these need to be in alignment, in harmony. And for us, like a mantra at the institute that is uh, to be me is the key. So where be me, be is body energy, me is mind emotions, is the key. So is intuition and spirit. So it just becomes like a mnemonic to help remember all of these things need to be in harmony. And the beauty is that we don't need to do a lot for this harmony to come. We don't need to do one thing for each of these dimensions. Anything that we do, we can integrate all these dimensions into it. So, for example, I talked of how people think of yoga as just, series, oftentimes a series of physical postures. But in our offering, one of our offerings, which is called Beyond Asan, we actually integrate all the dimensions. When I'm doing my practice, for example, if I do it in sync with my breath, that is my life energy. That is my pranamaya kosh. My mind needs to be on my body, on my breath, and not directed outwards. Oftentimes, we're looking at ourselves or listening to music, but if our mind is inwards, then it becomes like a moving meditation. So you've got your meditation happening along with your yoga. Then likewise, if you tune into your inner wisdom, all of those things can get integrated into a very, very simple practice of even just opening and closing your arms. It can become a spiritual practice. So the idea is to not do a lot, but integrate these dimensions in everything. That is Sampurna. The second pillar, the second principle is Swaraj, which is self-led. Since we are trying to be Swamesthit, so here also the process is that the individual has to lead their journey. So an analogy of it is like if you go on a trek, if you have to climb a mountain, there's not one way to get there. You can have 10 different ways, the infinite ways to get there. Even in yoga, we have talked of, Swami Vivekananda talked of the four streams of yoga. So likewise, we have created different paths for people to get there. People can choose the path, the tool of their choice, the pace at which they want to do it, where they want to do it. So lots of different formats are there. And even within a path, we offer a lot of choice to people. So, for example, in our offering on Ahar, which is how to work with food as a tool to nourish our body, mind, and spirit, we don't give any diet charts, which is like these days become the norm that, give me a diet chart, what should I have, when, how much quantity. Because if you see, no animal needs to go to a nutritionist to ask what to eat. If we tune into our inner wisdom, and if we have some broad set of principles, then each of us can make the choice for our own self. And that is what the beautiful science of Ayurveda was about, the Vat with Kaf. And the permutations, combinations told that every unique individual has a unique constitution. So Swaraj is around being self-led. So individuals really have a choice. We don't believe in dependence on anything. And the third principle is that of Sah Parivar. Sah Parivar means community supported. So there was a time when yogis to practice, and there still is, go off as hermits, live in the Himalayas. But we are also trying to bring that yoga to every person's house, to their life, and within the ecosystem of their existing family, their work, other social things around. So that's what we are trying to create to get that to our existing life. And to enable that, we also create small but like-minded communities. So all workshops we do are in groups of 8 to 20, not more than that, so that there's personalized attention. So like in our Dhyan workshop, Dhyan is something one would think meditation is a very personal tool, but it makes a huge difference if people are meditating together. It actually shifts the energy. And so we have people who meditate together. We have 3 slots, and our alumni are welcome to join anytime. And when different people are there, then we also recognize the diversity of experiences. that not everyone needs to have the same experience. It becomes very obvious when there is that diverse community is there. So those are the three principles: Sampurna, Swaraj, and Sahaparivar. What that does is the accumulation of all of these makes our work different from a retreat, because we go for retreats, we get detoxed and things don't sustain. But here there is a Sahaparivar, there's a community support to sustain. What this means is we're not blindly following someone. We are not claiming to be, enlightened ourselves. We still are on that journey. But to get in touch with our inner guru is the principle of Swaraj. And finally, we don't, this is not about going to specialists, one person to another, but actually creating an integrated system which is based on the principle of Sampurna. So all these tools have a beautiful impact when done together. Dhyan will impact our yoga practice will impact our cravings in food. So when you do all of these things together, it becomes like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that impacts then start translating outside. It then translates into our health, work, relationships, everything.
So Sampurna, Swaraj, and Sahaparivar to become Swamesthit, which is Swasth. Now, as a certified life coach, how do you integrate coaching principles into your work at the Swasth Institute?
So when I walked into my coach training program in 2017, I had not expected, but on day one, I was surprised to see that there is so much alignment between coaching and our yoga philosophy. So in my coach training program, they talked of a three-step process, which is of awareness, alignment, and action. So become aware, get aligned with yourself, and then take action aligned to yourself, which really is all of what yoga is about. If you think of it, reminded me of Patanjali Yoga Sutras and the first and the most important sutra, which is Atha Yoga Anushasana. And I felt like literally each of those words is mapping to this framework where Ath is the present. That is where awareness is. Awareness is always in the present moment. Yoga, which is the alignment within that we've talked of. And action requires Anushasan, requires discipline. So it's just amazing how these two originated in completely different places, but have a similar goal of one realizing their potential and a very similar process as well. Even the principles of coaching, such as the wholeness, resourcefulness of the individual, are exactly what yoga is about. So I'm reminded of the Taittiriya Upanishad, which is where the Panchakosh model is also unveiled. And it's a interaction and a conversation between Bhrigu and his father Varun, where Bhrigu wants to find the nature of life and who am I in some ways. And Varun, his father, is constantly asking him that question of, okay, when who are you? And then when he goes into contemplation, he comes back. And then he encourages, yes, this is right, but this is not it, completely it. Then who are you next? And how Bhrigu finds his own answer. If I was to say like Bhrigu was a modern day coach, like that's exactly what a coach does. He or she encourages the person that they are on the right track. They help them to see that. And they believe in the resourcefulness. They ask them the right questions, empowering questions, so that the person can find the answer for themselves. So it's amazing how the two are very linked. At the same time, coaching provides a very solid framework to be able to replicate this process for others. So what we do at the institute is we offer coaching as a one-on-one service. We work with people one-on-one so that they can find their own answers to whatever it is that they are looking for in life. We also have a group workshop called Vichar, which is a 2 to 3 month long journey where actually one understands and gets a framework to understand themselves and to even coach themselves. Like, what might it be? Because that is a spirit of Swaraj. How can I be my own coach? How can I really, ask myself the right questions and find my own answers? So that's how we integrate coaching. But beyond this, our understanding of yoga, I believe, has also enriched the field of coaching. Because yoga teaches us that it's not just about the yogasana doing that on the mat, it's about a way of life, integrating that. And so, what we have tried to do is to integrate the coaching principles into the fabric of all our offerings, integrate those into the being of a coach. And a coach is someone who is enabling the person that they work with to tap into their inner resources by asking them those questions, providing that nurturing, safe environment. So that's what our coaches do, whether it's an offering on food, whether it's on philosophy, whether it's on quantum physics, all of those places. Coaches are providing participants like a range of tools, a toolkit that people can choose from as per their preference, as per their context, as per their beliefs. So people are really making that choice. And I believe more and more that, you know, there is so much commonality underneath all our differences. So even in different cultures, for example, in the West, there is affirmations. So you say, I'm complete, I'm whole, I'm complete. That's an affirmation. That is the same as what we call mantras. Our mantra was Aham Brahmasmi. So they can look very different, but the underlying thing is the same. And that's what our coaches empower people to do, to find something aligned with themselves.
So, as someone who has done the Vichar workshop at Swasth and experienced many of the others that you refer to, and now a life coach in training, I could see how the two are aligned with each other, and there are just so many different layers to each of these. Now, the next thing I'd like to know is what led you to pursue the studies in somatic experiencing, and how does this complement your approach to well-being and healing?
So, somatic psychology, somatic experiencing have been a way to deepen the learnings that we got from coaching by engaging and involving soma. Somatic has the word soma, and soma means the body. So, yoga philosophy has also, recognized the connection between the mind and the body. In fact, it's only now that modern science is beginning to see that. But that is a connection that SE and somatic psychology, these fields tap into how to work on the mind by using the body. And here again, I'm reminded of a question in the Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna asks Krishna, ki, na the man itna chanchal hai, the mind is so subtle, how can I control it? How can I actually shift my thought process? And his predicament is a challenge that all of us face. We all fall into certain patterns of behaviors, which are our vrittis in the yogic language, where we have repetitive patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. And we struggle to shift out of them because the mind is so chanchal. It's always changing. I'll give you some examples. So, for example, we all know these days what is good, healthy food to eat. But can we control ourselves when something that we really love but is not healthy comes in front of us, right? We struggle with cravings for food. So, our knowledge is not enough. Or in a relationship, I might know that I need to listen to this person more, be more understanding. But when they say something, we get triggered and we have no option literally but to react instead of responding. Or if a notification comes on my phone, the device addiction, I just go straight to it. So we all know the right thing to do, but we struggle with our thought patterns and changing those. And even affirmations, positive thinking, all of those things help, but it's not enough. This is where the soma, the body, comes in. And SE and somatic psychology, just like the field of yoga, recognize that these thought patterns are finally rooted in the body. So, in the modern science language, they're rooted in our nervous system. That these patterns have become a nervous system's way of reacting quickly. And so, what one does in SE when one works with a practitioner is we actually go into any situation that one is trying to work on and observe the sensations in the body, because that's not just at the thought level, it's a sensation in my body. Why? Because an emotion is an energy in motion, it's rooted in the body. So we look at it, we let that sensation come, we observe it. It's fascinating. Something that might have happened 20 years ago, when we talk about it, the sensation is as alive for us in the present if we do it in the right manner. And then what one does is in this field is we provide a channel for this pattern, this wave to come and to pass. And when we allow it the right channel, that's when we're able to create a new wiring in the nervous system, which then creates a new future as well for ourselves. So this is another of those similarities. Like I said, coaching and yoga so similar. When I learned, I did my ISP certification, I realized that this is so similar to Vipassana. Uh, Vipassana is an intense process over 10 days. It's extremely powerful. Not everyone is able to do it. So this is Vipassana in small doses, where we're slowly building capacity of people to go back to their vrittis, their sanskaras, their vasanas, and to be able to root them out in the present. So we offer this again, we integrate this in our coaching work, and we in our Beyond Asana sessions, we have yogic practices that build in grounding learnings from SE. And it really helps accelerate the entire process, much more than only mental work. It's that sampurna, the benefit of getting many layers in.
Wonderful to see how you are integrating life coaching and somatic experiencing into yoga. Now, to understand, how do you balance the traditional aspects of yoga with the modern scientific research and the evidence-based practices in your teachings? Would love to hear that.
So this is another yoga that we do, another union harmony that we try to attempt. For the longest time, I also personally felt that these are two opposing forces that sort of need to be balanced. Like that's an image that comes up when we think of a balance, that there are two opposing forces. But the more I've understood these, and us at the Institute, we've come to understand that each of these approaches, the ancient and the modern, each of them have their role, they have their benefits. So traditional wisdom is very holistic in nature. It's very subjective. It's very individualistic. The modern approach is very rigorous. It's very detailed oriented, objective, focused. And we need a combination of both. So what we try to do is we, again, in the spirit of Swaraj, always offer choice to people. So, for example, we have what one would feel are diametrically opposite offerings. There is one called Neuroscience and I, where we look at what is modern science saying about well-being. And it's coming to pretty much the same conclusions that our ancient texts did. So one can take neuroscience as a pathway, or one can also sign up for, let's say, practical Vedant, where they're going into the wisdom of the Upanishads and saying what happened like 5,000 years ago, what was said in the Isha Upanishad. So again, like everyone picks their path, but we get to the same destination. And also within each offering, we try to bring this and in of the traditional and the modern. So whenever we are in doubt, we take ancient knowledge systems as the base because like they have withstood the test of time and scale. They're very holistic in nature. And also they were made with the purest of intentions for the well-being of everyone. But we also then bring in modern evidence because modern research helps us understand the why, the how. It speaks a very contemporary language that people today speak. So it makes it very relevant in today's context. I'll give maybe another example of how we do this. On working with our mind and thoughts, we have two offerings. One is called Yoga Psychology, which is based on the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So this whole definition of Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, that yoga is the cessation of the modifications of the mind. Vrittis, the patterns that we said don't support us. And the Patanjali Yoga Sutras beautifully talk of this being a process of nirodh. Nirodh is cessation. It's not virodh, where one is actually actively blocking them. So the whole approach that it brings in yoga psychology is that we need to understand, observe, and experience our patterns and work with them instead of denying them, suppressing them, judging them. So this is a traditional method. Now, in our Vichar offering, we do the same work, but we look at psychology. That modern psychology, how is that understanding it? How is modern neuroscience understanding it? So we talk of the innate reactions built into us of the fight, flight, freeze. that when we sense a danger, our nervous system is wired such that it will get into these modes. And these modes are what create the patterns. Then we look at how can we bring the balance back into our nervous system, get our parasympathetic nervous system back into place so that we can get into the space of awareness, understanding, observation. So the outcome of both is the same. Again, paths can be different.
Thank you for beautifully explaining that and Garima, between the traditional knowledge and the modern practices. Now, could you tell us about any ongoing research or projects at the Swasth Institute that you're particularly excited about, or something which is truly impactful?
So first, I just want to acknowledge where we've come in the last 7 years, and then talk a little bit about future things and what I'm excited about. But through this process of experimentation, living in our own lives, and then sharing, we now have a portfolio of some 20 different kinds of offerings that people can get for their well-being. So there are group workshops, there is individual work, and then there are services exclusively for our alumni community. And in group workshops, we have three kinds of workshops. The first is just habit building, like a mindful yoga practice, meditation. These are as like we brush our teeth every day. Like these are practices that need to be done every day for our mental hygiene, our emotional hygiene, for our well-being. So we have 2 week long workshops where every day, these are all online, so people can join from across the world, come in for an hour a day and learn these practices. Not just the how, but the why, all of that as well. Then we have workshops that are over 5 weekends. So 2 hours, 2.5 hours every week, every Saturday or Sunday, to build the knowledge, skills, and mindsets as an introduction to some concept. So, for example, our Being in Yoga workshop gives an introduction to the 4 paths of yoga. So again, a theoretical, but also a very lived, practical experience that people can live these in their daily life. So those are like 5 week, month long workshops. And then there are 2 to 3 month long transformational journeys. This is again, it can be done online, or there are retreats that we do in person. But these are programs where one really gets deep into habits that are long formed, like our eating habits, right? Our thinking patterns. So ahar, these are longer journeys where again we're meeting on weekends or meeting certain days, but every day there is something that we're doing to keep shifting that pattern. Additionally, we also have certifications like with the IBI, where there is the Foundations of Yoga certificate, the certificate course in yoga, the 200-hour certification for teacher training. Those are some of the group workshops that we have. On the one-on-one side, it can be someone can learn how to do their yoga practice with us, work personally with a coach. We also provide yoga therapy as a service. And we provide coaching that I talked of, somatic experiencing as a service as well. And our alumni have access to daily practice forums for meditation, for yoga, where they can come together, practice. We have meetups online, in person, a lot of different things. But it's been a slow stepwise journey to get there. I really draw inspiration from nature, how nature, plant doesn't become a tree overnight. So all of this has been a slow but steady journey to get here. And we're looking forward to adding many more certifications, topics, formats, different locations in the years to come. Now, as for the projects in the future that I'm really excited about, I think one is has been the integration of our learnings with another program that we run, which is called Swasth India Medical Centers. It's India's largest NGO-run setup of primary health centers that has served 20 lakh patients in the last 12 years. And we have, again, very slowly but systematically now ported a lot of the learnings into that model, where we're saying that can we create an integrated model for primary health, where we're integrating modern medicine with Eastern medicine, but also bringing these self-healing modalities. So people in the community have been experiencing and benefiting from yoga, meditation, their medicine dosage is reducing, they're getting off their medicines, their pain is reduced, and a whole lot of like physical, mental health benefits they found. So that I think really, really excites me because we have always wanted to take this work to people who don't have access to the resources. That's also what the institute is trying to do to, make sure everyone has access. On this front, there is also research that we have been doing with the Harvard School of Public Health. We did an initial feasibility study working with hypertensives and found very, very encouraging results from this integrated approach. So we're now planning to increase that, and we're looking for partners, for funders who can really help with this is path-breaking work for the segment that needs it the most. So we're looking for supporters in this journey also. And finally, I'm also really looking forward to us having a physical campus at the Institute at some point of time. A lot of the work has been online and now coming into in person. So we would love to have a campus where people can come, stay, experience, and really live this way of being and go back with just a different perspective towards life. So that's something that's a big dream that I hope will get fulfilled in the coming years.
Good to know about the existing programs at Swasth and the future plans. So coming to the theme of this year's International Day of Yoga, which is Yoga for Women Empowerment. So Garima, what role can yoga play in empowering women according to you?
Yeah, this is such a well-timed theme and such an important topic today. And I have had my own journey and I'm continuing to have that as well. And, we're living in a time where in some ways women are empowered more than ever before. And so many of us are educated now. We have like the same rights in many, many cases. I mean, I know there's a long way to go, but we have many similar rights as men. We're in the workforce. So many strides have been made. And I just first want to acknowledge all that has happened. It's taken so much effort on the part of so many people to get there. And at the same time, and I'm seeing this from my own experience, from seeing people around me, and also the statistics that I see, that there are challenges that we're facing. That women, despite being empowered, it's taking a toll on our health because we have to manage everything, right? Sometimes our family suffers because we're not able to give the enough attention and time to our family, or there is stress at work. So there is stress overall in the system because we're trying to do everything, right? We're trying to manage our home, manage our family, social commitments, as personal growth. And so it means that somewhere what we have done has worked, but something needs to be adjusted in our model. Otherwise, we would not have these issues that we're having. And I also want to say before I talk about an approach to it, that this is not a problem of of women alone. This is a problem that society is facing. And men and women and everyone together needs to come together to solve this because the woman is a very important part of the society. She is the one who births the family. So it's something all of us have to collectively solve. For me, I feel like, again, in the spirit of yoga, it's about going internal. We focused a lot on external things and that has helped, but it is about internal empowerment, and that sometimes means that we don't need to do it all. Rather, we need to be it all. And so it's the doing versus the being, the outside versus the inside. How we see this process and a definition of empowerment is it's around rising into one's potential, into one's whole self. And the whole self has the masculine and the feminine. It is the Shiva and the Shakti, the Ardhanarishwar. We are all whole and complete in ourselves. So there are masculine qualities that all of us have, such as going out and like being go-getters, being focused, action-oriented. And there are feminine qualities of nurturing, of being going with the flow. And all of us have these, and it's about getting a balance of these. Rather, I would say it's about choosing what quality is going to serve us in which situation and which of these is aligned to our swa. So it's a lot more about the being than the doing. And this can reflect in anything that we do, the balance of the masculine and the feminine. So from our experience, what we have created, my own experience, and in working with women, we've created a 3-month container called Rise, which is one of my most favorite loved offerings. It's a 3-month container, starts with a 3-day retreat, and is followed by online support ongoing, where we work with this past, the present, and the future for us to rise into our potential. And so the work in the past is actually going back and saying, what are the old limiting beliefs that are no longer helping me? Because as a result of being disempowered for so long, we have internalized a lot of limiting beliefs. We ourselves don't believe in our potential. We ourselves don't value the skills and the gifts that we have. And I know I have done that a lot. So it's about looking at those limiting beliefs in the past. In the present, it's about tuning into our inner wisdom. And nature is a big part of inspiration for that wisdom. Nature is the ultimate woman, Janani. It is what gives birth to all of life, all of creation. So drawing a lot of wisdom and inspiration from there in the present. And then in the future, with this awareness, how can we create a conscious life? How can we see where in my life do I need to embody more of the masculine? Where do I need to do more of the feminine? What do I need to do more in life? What do I need to do less in life? What do I need to do differently? So the answer is not to do everything, but to get settled in the being and take very conscious choices. And I have been amazed to see how women, when we tap into our wisdom, have found very different ways of rising. It's not about fitting into this template of this is the ideal woman, right? That all of us have to become the ideal mother, daughter, sister, team member, manager, leader, all of that. Some women have taken the call of saying, actually, for them, like their relationship with their children is very, very important at this point of time. They have adolescent children and they want to be present to them. And that means they're okay stepping back on work, but they don't doubt themselves anymore because of that. Some women have said, we've been in the shadows for too long. We've undervalued ourselves. We want to now go out and share our gifts with the world. So everyone has found their own way. And that I think is so, so liberating. That is true women's liberation, where we are not trying to break a pattern by creating another pattern. We are truly finding out what is it that serves us. And yoga has a huge role to play because it takes us inwards instead of outwards.
So what you shared, Garima, helped me tap into my own experience of the 3-month rise journey, which helped me get so much clarity in my being, my doing, and helped me take some key decisions in where this path further leads me to. So I can vouch for the role that it has played in my own journey as a woman who was looking to get empowered, do more uh, aligned with herself. So, with that, let me come to our last question. And that's, what advice would you give to any aspiring entrepreneurs who are looking to establish a career in holistic health and wellness?
I would say if you have the slightest of interest, the slightest of inclination, like just do it. This is working in this field is truly a win-win. For you, it'll give you that sense of purpose, that sense of inner joy that we all seek beneath all the doing. And for the world, it's very important. The world really, really needs this because while we are all getting developed and meeting all those metrics for success, we don't really have the inner fulfillment. We don't have the health and well-being at an individual level, family level, society level, and a global level, and even the environmental level. So, well being is a need of the world at large, and it just needs to happen. If you feel doubtful about your skills and capabilities, that's okay. No one is born a doctor, no one is born an engineer, right? We all learned and studied and became that. So even if you have a background in something else, if you have the desire to do this, you are going to learn the skills. If you have the desire, like if you have the intention, anything and everything can happen. That's how I also did it. I didn't have a background in this. So I think I would just really, really urge you to do this. I also know that for entrepreneurs, there is a very valid concern around finances, right? How do you manage your finances? So I would say keep that in your thinking as well. Let us not talk of spirituality without materialism. We do need some resources for us to have a good life as well. But I would also say don't over worry and overthink it. If you focus on your quality, if you focus on delivering work with values, money will be an outcome. You will be able to do this for yourself as well. Just like health is an outcome of being sthit in Swa. So don't overthink it, but also do not neglect it as sometimes people do. Because if we have to do it in a sustained manner, if you want to make this a career, a calling, then you need to figure out a way for this to sustain you as well. And if you do head down this path, then I would say two things that I would share from the Swasth experience. One is to infuse that energy, that experience of peace, love, and joy in everything that you do. And those are two very important values at Swasth. We say bringing joy and serving with love. So if you're able to bring that experience of peace, love, and joy into the sessions that you're doing, then people will experience that state that everyone is seeking. And that state need not come after years and years of sadhana. It can be experienced right here, right now. It's like a radio channel that one just has to tune into, right? So if that atmosphere is there, that will draw people in because that's like the honey that is attracting the honeybee. Everyone will want to come to experience that. And that will make their path of self discovery also much easier because it is not an easy journey. It is a tough journey as well, doing this inner work. And finally, I think to enable this peace, love, and joy to happen, for you to create that container, for you to be that light, you need to do a lot of work in yourself. So be the change, practice what you preach. And we need not wait till we are perfect and till we're truly living everything because we will never get there. We can say, if we are humble enough to recognize, I have walked a certain number of steps and I know there's a way to go. But wherever I have come, can I take some more people along with me and grow along the way? That's how, again, going back to nature, that's how nature is. The roots of the tree are not fully formed initially, it's very less, and it's a plant. But as the plant increases in size, as it rises, the roots go deep. So our work also needs to go deeper and deeper because that is going to be the foundation on which everything externally will get built. So I really, really wish that if you have the slightest of aspiration, you join this, get the purpose, joy that you deserve and the world deserves today.
So, Garima, what would be the key message that you would like to share with all our viewers? And for those who wish to start or continue their well-being journey with Swasth, how can they go about that?
So my wish is for everyone to be swasth, swamesthit, established in themselves, and for all of you to experience health and joy, which is an outcome of being swasth. I believe all of us are blessed with tremendous potential, and we deserve to experience this fulfillment. Being a healthy body, abundant energy, mental clarity, emotional stability, and a life of purpose and inner joy. And you have many, many tools available for this, whether it's nourishing food, emotional management, movement and relaxation, science and philosophy, and the wisdom of nature. So everything is here waiting for you to start. Do your journey, whether it's with Swasth or anyone else, it doesn't matter, but please do walk your journey. If you are interested in any Swasth programs, this page gives a link to an overview of all our offerings, of our workshops. This is our email address and our phone number, and we are reachable. And I'd love to support any of you in your journey. So best wishes. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Garima, for your time and for sharing your journey, your experiences, and the work that you and the team at Swasth is doing with all of us.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to IYA, and thank you, Sujata, for hosting this lovely conversation and for building Swasth Institute to where it is today.